Howdy, y'all. We are back. We're doing another video today. Frosty here. Man, I checked. My last recording was the end of September. Yeah, thanks again, guys, for dropping in for another video. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics. I was actually bitching about this at work the other day, but I am a true believer that Scrum and Agile frameworks are scams. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to cover what that means. This video is primarily for people in the tech field, but I know there's a lot of you in the community that aren't necessarily in the tech field, IT, software development, engineering. That's okay though, because I'm going to try to kind of point it in your direction that you guys might be seeing similar trends in your industries. And if you are, please comment about it. So I want to hear about y'all's industries. What kind of scams, like consulting scams, is happening in your neck of the woods? Speaking of which, guys, please remember to like, subscribe, comment. This channel, I guess, is getting its ass kicked with the algorithm. We're 6 years in with this channel. We have over 600, I think 50 videos maybe. So we're almost, yeah, I mean, we're almost, to 700 videos, and we only have 220 subscribers. So I'm going to be contacting YouTube this week, and I'm going to see what the hell's going on. I think we're shadow banned. I don't know, but for those of you who are in the community, for those of you loyal followers who have been helping out the channel, if you're not subscribed, but you check in, please consider subscribing. If you stumbled upon this video through happenstance, how do I earn your like? How do I earn your subscription? How do I earn a comment? Comment below. There you go. But how can I earn that follow? I really want these videos and the content that I push out in this community, be it streams, be it videos, I want them to be two-way conversations, not just one way. It's not just this drunk asshole dinosaur just talking to a mic and then you guys listen to it and go, this guy's an idiot. Like, tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me. Okay, so before we begin, we do need to support, I guess, the business that I'm doing. Just to keep this train running. We got to keep this train running. So I'm going to talk about the Beat Lab a little bit. Please support that business. It is completely free. You just need to listen to music. So here it goes.
Hey, cold ones. Looking for music you can play anywhere without those annoying copyright strikes? Check out the Beat Lab. It's a streaming music project made for creators, students, people on the grind, or anyone who just wants the perfect vibe. The project has over 14 hours of original lo-fi, 8 hours of holiday music, and 3 hours of cozy tavern tunes, all streaming around the clock. Studying, chilling, working, or making content? There's something here for every mood. And none of our music is AI generated. Every track comes from real talented musicians. Everything's copyright free, so it's totally safe for your YouTube, Twitch, TikTok channels, wherever you want to use it. There are even more albums and music genres on the way, so there's always something new to discover. You can listen on any music streaming platform. Just search for Frosty Jams or go to hyperfollow.com/thebeatlab to start listening now. After this video, crack a cold one. Head to hyperfollow.com/thebeatlab and start listening.
All right, guys. So Scrum and Agile frameworks are scams. This is something I've believed for a long time. I've been in the tech industry, in the actual corporate industry. Damn, how long have I been in this shit, man? 12 plus years in corporations, but I've been doing software development since 2005. Actually, I've been developing software since 2002, but then I learned HTML in 5th grade. I really don't know. I've been doing software for a long time, but I've been in corporations for over 12 years. Okay. I've actually gone through multiple Agile frameworks. I've had to use them at work. I've been told I had to use them. I've evangelized for them. So what does this mean? Whether you're in tech or not, Agile frameworks are ways of working. These are iterative processes in how to develop value for a customer using software engineering and technical practices. Okay, so these are ways that you can focus on providing the customer a product, iterating on the development, testing, analysis process of the software you produce. And when the customer is wrong or when the customer needs something new, your team is able to pivot, and it is team focused. Your team is able to pivot and provide the features that the customer needs. So you have to think of it this way, that, the customer is not always right. And remember, the original thing is, the customer is always right in terms of taste. And that was like a restaurant term. But, you know, the customer doesn't always know what they want. When I'm talking to like ChatGPT and shit like that, I'm like, hey, I want you to build me this app. Dude, 3 or 4 conversations later when I'm cussing out the stupid AI, I realize I'm the idiot and I wanted something different. It's kind of the same thing. When I go to a young dev, I'm like, I want this. I realized 2 days later that I wanted something else. So that's kind of the idea, is that, you know, as a software engineering team, you are providing product to a customer. The customer, once they actually use your product and they find some value in it, they're going to want to pivot. So that's why you need agile practices. Because back in the day, it used to be, hey, let's get all the requirements and design up front. We'll get more into that. But then that sounds like a good thing. Why do I think they're scams? Through anecdote. So I want to warn you guys that a lot of this video is based on anecdote. I usually do a lot of research for my videos, but then I end up going and rambling. I am right now. You guys may or may not see it, but I'm literally on my first slide of the PowerPoint, and I'm already talking about like slide 3. But yeah, it's just all based on anecdote. I didn't do a lot of research on data, and I'm not really trying to convince you guys. Honestly, this is just an unhinged rant video. If you're on board, cool. If you're not, still throw me a like and subscribe. Okay, cool. All right, so really, why am I making this video? I don't know. I haven't even really been dealing with this at work too much. It's just something I've wanted to talk about for a long time. I made a blog post about this in 2022 on thedailyscrum.blog, which I had to shut down just because the cost. I wasn't getting a lot of viewership, and the cost of keeping that up was a lot. And guys, writing blogs and not use AI, I try not to use AI when I write these blogs. Man, it takes a long freaking time. So I had to cut some stuff out of my life. But anyway, I do believe in the process of frameworks. I really think they're helpful to new teams. For example, I'm starting a new job where I'm going to be a manager under a senior manager helping run an organization at my company. And he told me, hey, there's certain ways I want my meetings to run. I'm going to provide you frameworks to run the meetings. I'm just going to set these guardrails, these bounds. Just don't go past those. Like, I want to keep a certain scope of my meeting, so I'm going to provide you a framework. I think these work. Like, when I'm mentoring young engineers, I give them guardrails and I'm like, hey, I want you guys to work within these bounds. There are these certain things I want. Essentially, these are like soft requirements that are guardrails. So I do believe they are helpful to new teams. You stand up a new team, you need a framework to work. And I do believe agile methodologies make sense, guys. I feel like I'm turning this around. I'm like, never mind, agile's fucking not a scam. I do believe agile methodologies do make sense. You do need to focus on the customer. The customer will not always know what they truly need. Sometimes they need your product as a prototype. They need to use it to solve whatever problem they're having in the real world. And then they're going to provide you feedback. This creates a two-way communication, guys. So I do believe agile methodologies make sense. And I do believe you need teamwork to make a product. See, back in the day, sure, there were always teams, but I've worked in organizations where it's like, oh, hey, Frosty is the message manager guy. He works on the message manager. Messages come in, messages go out. That's his job. He works on it. If he's not here, we're fucked, right? And then, oh, hey, Bob over here, he's the technical writer. So you're not supposed to technical write. That's just a stovepipe way of thinking. Somebody gets hit by a bus, your organization's screwed. So I believe in teamwork to make a quality product, and agile really focuses on teamwork. But then it gets a little kind of like dumb. It's like, well, you need to form a team that could eat 2 pizzas. It's a 2-pizza team. So if you order 2 pizzas, however many people can eat 2 pizzas, that's a team. Dude, Spagooter and I can eat 2 pizzas on our own. Are we a fucking team? Which we are. Check out squadron.ai and you can see more about that. I do think Agile and Scrum as a product is the scam. I do think Agile with a big A, like the Agile methodologies your company is sold by consultants, and then even the Scrum framework that I think started with okay beginnings. I do believe those two turn into a scam. You could probably hear Pepper down here making noises because I'm trying to record Pepper. If you guys don't know, he's one of my dogs. He just makes a lot of noise. Oh, hey, what's up, buddy? So I do believe Agile Scrum as a product is a scam by consultants. And I do feel like there is this kind of cult or this kind of community forming that will blast you for saying otherwise. At my job, I have been very outspoken on how I don't like certain Agile and Scrum frameworks. I've talked to plenty of, and you'll hear this term if you don't know what it is, like Scrum Masters. I've heard many of them say that, oh, you're wrong, like Scrum is great. It's like, yeah, because like if we got rid of it, your job would be gone. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. And I do believe Agile originally, when it came out, it was really devs trying to change this very rigid, what we'll talk about later is a waterfall process. And they try to change it to a lightweight set of principles that eventually end up turning into some certification economy that just has all this bloat and overhead that makes it impossible to develop useful software. Like hear me out, guys. Like, don't you guys feel like every product you're downloading just has like AI bloat, and that every product you have has subscriptions left? Dude, like, you don't need none of that. I think Agile has something to do with that, but really, no, it's Anyway, we'll move on. I do think there's unnecessary roles, and those can be used as manipulation for engineers that want to do cool things. And I think Agile frameworks have become like a consulting power grab that has been introduced for managerial comfort, like a managerial comfort blanket, and that has convinced devs that they're climbing the ladder when they're really not. They're getting cool new titles, but they're not getting paid. Okay, so that's my long-winded way of saying that yes, I do think frameworks are good. I think Agile came from a good place, but I really think it's turned into kind of like a certification or scam economy from consultation groups. Okay, but what really is Agile? I explained that it's this like framework that you can adopt with teams and that you can produce product for customers and you can pivot if needed. But where did it come from? So, hey, Frostysaurus and Chaotic World, you guys from the car industry, you may actually like this, because Agile originally came from the car industry. So in the 1950s, there was an approach called Kanban that was introduced. This comes from the Japanese language from Japan, where kan means sign and ban means board. So it's like signboard. So back in Japan in the early 1900s, there were these signboards in front of shops and crowded streets. So that's kind of where it came from. So, you guys see a fucking like McDonald's sign and there's the golden arches. It's kind of like that, but it was on the ground and had signs on it. So Kanban originated from the Toyota Motor Company and their practices in the 1940s. After World War II, Toyota wasn't making any profits and they couldn't compete with the American car industry. So Toyota really couldn't scale their engineers. They were seeing a lot of bottlenecks. There was a man, Taichi Ono, he was a young engineer and shop manager. He noticed these bottlenecks and overproduction of non-needed components. Because of these kind of like stove-piped engineers, some engineers were just really awesome and they were just like pumping these components out. But then the ones that were integrating these components onto the vehicles, like they became the bottlenecks, or at least the distributors became the bottlenecks. So you had this overproduction of all these parts that weren't needed. You had these people working really hard to integrate, these vehicles, and there was just a lot of waste. And Japan's already losing in the car industry. And actually, Taichi Ono, if you want to see a little picture of him, this little picture of him making that goofy fucking face, that's a real picture. That's not AI, dude. So I can rock with this dude. Like, I want this guy on my team. So the approach that Taichi Ono took was that product is only what's needed. So focus on that finished product, get it to the customer. So product is what's needed, when it is needed, and how much of it is needed. So not necessarily just the vehicle, but all its subcomponents. So back in that day, when he introduced Kanban, what he did is he introduced these paper cards, think like note cards at the time. And what they would do is track requirements. He would actually write down the exact steps and exactly what's needed on these cards. And people would go up, grab the cards and on some swim lane, and then they'd move it over when they finished their work. So, it would have, hey, here's what's needed. Here's how many parts are needed. Here's where it needs to go. Someone would go grab the card. Oh, okay, I've done this. I did it exactly to the T. I'm moving it down the swim lane until these requirements were done. So in the 1940s through 60s, this was a game changer. There was no software, there was no hardware, it was these cards, but it helped track a whole shop in how it produced, these cars and all in creation of these parts, and it helped organize a whole organization. So that's really where, Scrum comes from. You could actually go to Atlassian, which a legacy software company at this point, a lot of bloat, but I mean, they came out with Kanban boards like 15 years ago, and that was a game changer for software. So Kanban really didn't enter the software realm until the early 2000s. Okay, so now after the 1940s through 1960s, moving on to the 2000s, there was the proposal of Agile. Actually, not even the 2000s. Let's go back to 1986. All right. So when my dad looked at my mom all like nice and like, hey, let's have a kid. 1986. Scrum, the idea of Scrum in software development actually came from a 1986 paper from another Japanese engineer, Hirotaka Takeuchi, and his buddy Ikojiro Nonaka. And they wrote a paper that was called the New Product Development Game. And so this paper really tried to argue that sequential software development that was happening in the 1980s was too slow. It literally was, hey, get your requirements. Okay, we have our requirements, analyze the requirements, meet with the customer. Okay, so after about a year's worth of preparation, now we start coding. And that's really where waterfall came from. It was this more contract-based development where it's like, hey, we're going to write up this contract. We're going to make sure it's perfect. We're going to go ahead and write all the software. We're going to test it. 2 to 3 years down the road, you're going to get your software. Oh, and by the way, you already failed at what you were trying to do. What we delivered, you thought you knew you wanted, and it doesn't actually solve your problem. And hey, some of the people that actually wanted this shit, they're no longer there. They're either died, changed jobs, or retired, right? So that was a big problem. And so these guys argued that that is not an effective approach. There needs to be a more kind of like simultaneous development where you can do some testing while you're doing development, things like that, but really focus on rapid development. So after 1986, move on into the late 90s, early 2000s, the Scrum framework came about. So this is where the focus was that dev groups need to embrace rapid prototyping. So this is where the pendulum swings the other way. Instead of, oh, hey guys, we're going to come up with this freaking concept. We're going to make sure all the requirements are, perfect. It's moving on to, hey guys, we need to build something as quickly as possible. This was happening in the early 2000s. I know it's popular now, but we need to build something as quickly as possible. We need to do it concurrently, simultaneously. So we need to engineer this component, test while we do it, go get more requirements on this component we don't know about, but engineer concurrently. And then we need cross-functional teams. We can't have, oh, well, this is the testing team and they all sit together, and this is the development team and they all sit together, and they have gang wars, and then they have knife fights out in the alley and all that shit. Oh, and by the way, Peter over here sitting in the corner that only shows up to work half the time and takes a 2-hour fucking lunch break. He has to sign off on his software, but he's been on a vacation in Cancun for 3 fucking weeks and we can't release our stuff, right? So it's like, all you fuckers need to be on my, Jesus Christ, all you fuckers need to be on my team. And so when I deliver something, our team is responsible. We have a team lead over freaking Peter and the testing dudes, and then the dudes over here that like talk to the customer, and the sales dudes that eat like freaking Reuben sandwiches on Thursdays. Like, we all need to be on a team, and then when we deliver product together, right? That was the whole point of Scrum framework. I feel there's demons talking to me, guys. There's demons. But really, getting back to it, this would allow dev teams to test products and refine them more quickly. You can iterate faster. You can get product out faster in multiple deployments. So, but Scrum, why Scrum? Why is it called the Scrum framework? So Scrum was actually a metaphor in the Scrum guide. Well, okay, it was a metaphor. It wasn't a metaphor in the Scrum guide. It was a metaphor in the new product development game, where they were talking about you got to move the Scrum down the field. This is a rugby metaphor. So it's kind of like, there's a metaphor you guys will hear me say in the stream. Sometimes you just got to punch it in the end zone. Like, sometimes you just got to get a product and you have to deliver it. That was the idea, is that, product development is just this slog, and it's just hard to get software out to your customer. So it's almost like a Scrum. Like, you get your team and you're pushing against the market, you're pushing against all the roadblocks, but you got to move it forward. So that's where it came from. Now, the Scrum guide, I don't know why they made it all capitalized. So the Scrum guide was written by this guy named Ken Schwaber, and that eventually, I think, created the Scrum Foundation. I don't even know. But he made it capitalized, and now everyone capitalizes it. Like, go on Indeed right now, and I bet you if you look up like Scrum Master, you will find at least one job where Scrum is capital. Or you'll go to at least like one job posting. It's like, you must know Scrum, and it's all capital. It's not a fucking acronym. It's crazy. Anyway, yeah. So it came from a metaphor, and it just stuck. But see, like, in Scrum, there's this thing called like daily stand-up, and that's where your team all gets together and, hey, what'd you do yesterday? What are you doing today? Do you have any roadblocks? They call it daily stand-up. Like, some people call it Scrum. It's like you're scrumming together. You're standing in a circle. But I always called it like a huddle, because I like football more than rugby. I don't know. Anyway, so going to the Scrum framework, I want to talk about the Scrum framework a little more. So the roles for Scrum actually I think this is where it kind of like screws everything up. And I have a real problem with this. So back in the day, in the 80s, 90s, even 2000s, when I started my career, there was such thing as team leads and tech leads. And I know there still are. Go on Indeed right now and look up tech lead. They exist. But Scrum did this thing that I think is a little manipulative. I really believe it. And I'll explain it more. The Scrum Guide proposed 3 new roles. Okay. Well, one of them is developer. But there was the product owner. So they came up with the concept of a product owner. This is the quote, voice of the customer, unquote, that delivers business results. That's their job. They deliver business results. So this is a person getting like a technical salary, like a software engineering salary, that pretends they're the customer, but they're not the customer. So their job is to maintain the product backlog. What this means for you non-tech guys, or if you've never worked in Agile, is that all your work are done in stories. And they're kind of like those Kanban note cards, and they're in a product backlog. And for you to get your work, you go pull something off the backlog, you go work it, and you put it to done. And then you pull the next thing and all that. They prioritize feature requests and defects. So a feature request is like a customer says, hey, I want this new feature. Can you make it for me? Can you put it in the software? So 9 times out of 10 right now, it's like, can you just add AI to this fucking product? And then defects are just bugs, software bugs. You guys all have it in your video games that you fucking play on Steam. And then the product owner cannot dictate how the team solves problems. So like the product owner pretends they're the customer, or they vouch for the customer, they talk to the customer, and then they bring all these fucking features that the team needs to do, but they can't tell the team how to fix the issues. The team has to figure it out themselves in their own little government. And then there's only ever one product owner. Okay, so then there's the developers that the Scrum Guide promotes, which kind of always existed. All I wrote in my notes is they get shit done. Like, I don't think I need to tell you more. Like, developers write the code and they get shit done, and they don't like bullshit, right? So Scrum Masters, this is the one that I hate the most. The Scrum Master role, this is everything they're supposed to do according to the Scrum Guide. Facilitate daily stand-up meetings. Those are those daily scrums I told you about. They're status meetings. They say they're not status meetings. It's like, hey, what'd you do yesterday? What are you doing today? Any roadblocks? Can I help you remove roadblocks? Total bullshit. They remove impediments. I have never seen a Scrum Master be able to remove impediments. They just make more meetings. And they send emails, and they usually have zero power. They're not a traditional team lead or product manager. Okay, so with these 3 roles, who the fuck's the team lead? Oh, well, the dev team, they govern themselves. Dude, it turns into Lord of the Flies real fast. I don't care what anyone says. There's a barrier between the team and distracting influences. Okay, I have seen Scrum Masters that'll just step in and just be like, no, you're not talking to my devs. You're leaving them alone. You're a distraction. Sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes they weaponize that so like managers can't have meetings and updates with their teams. They ensure Scrum framework is followed by coaching the team in Scrum theory. So you have these new guys, and keep in mind, you may not know this, but when the Scrum framework first came out, the Scrum organization, scrum.org, they would be the Scrum Masters to start. So they would pay these exorbitant consulting prices. They would embed themselves on the team. They would coach the team. They would be coaches. They would coach the team on using Scrum and all that. And I've worked with a lot of these coaches, and dude, like these guys, my job as a coach, I coach you. It's like, dude. So when there's no team lead, they tend to have a lot of pull. I don't know. I don't know why you'd have someone in your own rank call them coach if you're a corporation. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, they're primary meeting facilitators. So they're the ones that run the meetings, keep the clock. Sometimes those are actually useful. I don't know. I don't want to take a developer, which is what a lot of companies do, and just say, you're going to mediate meetings. You're going to hold daily stand-up meetings. You're a coach now, even though you've probably never coded, because they always give it to a new engineer. And you're not a team lead. It's just... They help the product owner maintain the backlog. That's good, I guess, sometimes, but it's like, if you don't really understand what the product's doing, because you're not coding, you're not the team lead, you're not talking to the customer, like, what are you doing? Moving stories around? Like, I don't know. They help the team determine definition of done. So definition of done is actually good. Definition of done is good. I use this in my daily life. So when Lady Frost and I, we have to do chores, we have definition of done. So this is a good thing. Helping figure out what the definition of done is means when I'm working this task, when is it complete? What are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that need to get done for this task to be complete? And then I'm calling it done. I'm not revisiting this shit, because that's called yak shaving. It's like shaving a yak. You keep fucking shaving and you're never going to get to the skin, right? So yeah, actually that's a pretty good one. Coaches the team about Scrum principles. It's like, hey guys, the Scrum guide says, at some point you're just a fucking preacher. I don't know. Educating key stakeholders and rest of the organization on Scrum, kind of the same thing. Promoting self-organization and cross-functionality. I've been hearing about new like developer evangelist roles in tech. Guys, this is why layoffs are happening. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. You don't need to hire anyone that's an evangelist. And then facilitating team events. Guys, I don't want team events. I've been in software engineering for like a decade and a half. I don't want team event. I don't want to go out and do a fucking team softball event. So yeah, take that away. So before 2001, there was waterfall. I talked about that. I said we'd talk about it again. So these were 12 to 24 month release cycles. You know, like I said, requirements are frozen early. And then once the requirements are frozen, then you go into development, and it could be 2 to 3 years. With waterfall, it was generally 1 to 2 years, but you could be getting requirements and analyzing and working with the customer for a year, then developing for a year. And then when you get at the end, you realize everything's broken. So they realized that. So in the early 2000s, the spiral method came out, and it was just a recurring waterfall. You just shrunk waterfall, and you had waterfall like every like financial quarter. So you'd have like 4 waterfalls a year. The problem with this is there were multiple prototype phases. So like instead of prototyping once, you would have multiple phases of prototypes, but you would do that before you delivered. So now you're working on a prototype and you're making it super awesome, showing it to the customer, but then you need to go make the product once the customer gives a thumbs up. So there was very little time to code under the spiral method, which was just a quarterly waterfall. But then in 2001, the Agile Manifesto came out. So this was written by 17 software developers that were focused on, quote, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. This was focused on working software is a priority over just documentation and technical writing and all that. This was focused on customer collaboration over contracts. So instead of having this contract in waterfall that you solidified over a year and had a bunch of meetings on, you would just constantly meet the customer, get feedback based on these prototypes, and decide which way the software should go to solve their problem. This was more about responding to change in the market, change in the customer's actual activities, over following a direct plan that you kind of stuck to just to check off and say you were done. So one way I like to think of it is Agile was not necessarily meant to be a framework. It was meant to be a rebellion against frameworks when it was first introduced, but now it's kind of a framework. No, it is a framework. It's definitely a fucking framework. So Scrum was born and I really go to scrum.org. That was the first one I heard of. I'm sure there's other things, but scrum.org came out pretty early. And so they focus on training with Scrum using the Scrum guide. They allowed their own consultants to join the development team, and I don't really mean allowed, like they required it. So when you brought on the Scrum Foundation, they would put their own consultants as the Scrum Masters, and they would train Scrum Masters to take their place while taking a fat check. They're the ones that gave Scrum Masters and product owners life. So where this is a real issue is that it's like, oh, hey, you're a team lead? No, you're no longer a team lead. You can be a product owner, or you can join the development team. We're going to have a product owner that's more focused on, getting customer and requirements and stuff, and you're going to completely get off technical roles, and we're going to have the team manage it, and they're going to self-manage themselves. And there's really no role for managers. The results were it created rigid ceremonies. So there were 5 ceremonies. There were stand-up meetings. There was backlog grooming. What backlog grooming meant was cleaning up like old stories in your backlog that you didn't need to do, old tasks. Oh, sprint planning. So a sprint actually we do it in 2-week iterations. You can do it however many iterations you need. But when you planned enough stories, you could get your team to execute a like 2-week, 3-week, month-long plan. You just fucking go. You just go as fast as you can. When the sprint's done, you could do a retrospective on it. So there's the sprint retrospective where your team kind of, what I've ever seen is just bitch about shit. Yeah, your team bitches about shit. I've been in a couple of retros where it's like, guys, we could really do good things. So, but yeah, it's usually a bitch session. So whenever I have to go to a sprint retrospective for certain teams, I tell them, guys, we are not going to complain about anything that's happening outside of our organization. We are only going to talk about our team, and we're going to come up with at least one action by the next sprint retrospective will get fixed, right? So one really cool rule that came out of a sprint retrospective that I really liked was no meeting Tuesdays. That was one I really liked. And so we would just not meet on Tuesdays, no scrum, no anything. It's heads down work. So that was a really good one. I try to take that one with me. But for the most part, there's that. And then there's demos. So I'm pretty sure I named 5. If I didn't, who cares? The other one doesn't matter. But the demos is at the end of every sprint, you're supposed to show your customer. I have rarely seen that. It's happened, but it's usually just showing your own organization. Look what I worked on. And a lot of times it's pet projects and stuff that's really on the product owner. But it's like, hey, look what I did. So those rigid ceremonies were a result from Scrum. Stand-up meetings actually became more status meetings. I think the Scrum Guide says they're not supposed to, but they really ended up like, how do you turn, here's what I did yesterday, here's what I'm doing today, I have roadblocks or I don't have roadblocks. So the roadblocks are actionable, but if they don't have roadblocks, it's a status meeting. I don't care what anyone says. Now, the Scrum Guide said originally that managers should not be showing up to Scrum meetings, but managers are going to manage, right? They're going to do what they do. I'm a manager now. Am I going to stand-ups? Who knows? I probably won't. But velocity was weaponized. I have seen this in every agile organization. So for those of you who don't know what velocity is how much story points. Yes, they're story points. No, these points don't buy anything. They're supposed to be relative. They're points that don't really mean anything. They originally were supposed to be 1 day, 1 point for one dev of how much work you can get done. But they're like, no, it's not time-based. And you got to retrospectively look at how much work you've done. So they're points that don't fucking matter. But those points that don't matter is based off how much point work you get done in a sprint. And that's eventually weaponized. So it's like, well, you guys got 48 points done 2 sprints ago. You got 40 points done last week. This week, you only got 36 done. What's going on? You're not getting points done. And that's just an antithesis to what Agile is. It's an antithesis. Like you're supposed to provide product to the customer, right? Story points are abused. I talked about story points, and they really are. You have people worrying more about story points than actually delivering product. Teams are doing Scrum instead of delivering software. So a lot of times I have seen so many teams, instead of getting shit done, you can cancel ceremonies, guys. You can cancel them. But I've seen teams, no, we got to go to Scrum. We got to go to retro. That's healthy. Okay, whatever. Like you guys are only 3 months late on your shit. For the managers though, now, like, look at it this way. What do the managers get sold? Because like you've got these consultants coming in, they cost a lot of money, they're killing your budget. How do you got to sell the managers, you got to sell the devs. How do you sell the managers? Oh, well, hey, you got all these devs developing, you know, this Agile manifesto came out, and now all these devs want to, you know, work iteratively and pair program and all this. But now you have these 5 predictable ceremonies you can go to as a manager. You can go to daily stand-up and you get a situation report, a sit rep per dev. You can go to sprint planning and you can look at your team's plan and you could get a copy of that. So when you go up to the director VP level, you have a plan you can provide. And then that's a protection against the team saying, I don't have any work to do, I'm going to slack off. You have retrospectives where the manager can sniff out issues within the team, especially if they go to the retros and find out what the bitching session's all about. You have demos to prove what the team is doing. And then there's backlog grooming. You could go to backlog grooming, but they probably won't. But you have proof that the teams are doing work. So the managers like this. From the devs, there's no team leads, but there will be one because it's going to be Lord of the Flies. You have quote empowerment, unquote. They always use empowerment. You're empowered. It's like, bro, collect your paycheck, deliver product. Who gives a shit? I don't know. I sound so toxic, and I know I do, but like this, I need to be empowered. You are empowered. You are a very intelligent person that got a really good freaking degree, and you have a superpower of coding, especially before AI. What more do you need? And really, if you're not allowed to make decisions, I don't know, just leave. I think I'm being a little too harsh, honestly, though, because I've struggled with empowerment. So maybe I agree. Exciting new title names, guys. I've seen so many times that, you know, like devs, I've had devs come to me and they're like, yeah, I want to get promoted. I'm taking on the Scrum Master role. You want to get promoted, dude? Pump out good product, pump out good code. you don't need the Scrum Master role. Do you get a pay raise? No. And product owner, just go get a tech lead role. And if you're not ready for a tech lead role, go write code until you're the one that knows the product the best. That's how you become a tech lead. So these exciting new title names that don't get you extra pay. And then, I get a demo what I worked on. Dude, I don't know. It just feels like micromanagement. But then for the wheel spinners, and what a wheel spinner is, it's someone that, just keeps spinning the wheel. Don't get any work done. You guys have them at your work. You know who they are. You have new roles that avoid technical work but provide technical pay. You got Scrum Masters. Guys, Scrum Masters. Yeah, I get to be a coach. I get to facilitate meetings, and I get to do group think, and I get to do thought leadership. It's like, dude, you're getting paid a software engineering salary. I need you to fucking code. I need you to get shit done. You have agile coaches, guys. These guys just get a coach, and they get to go to every agile, conference. You get to go to, I went to the Agile 2019 conference in DC, and everyone's agile coaches, bro, they were poking ass, man. Like, I don't trust agile coaches at all. You get all these crazy safe roles. You're going to hear about safe, Scrum Agile Framework for whatever the fuck. They create a lot of new roles. You guys are gonna like these. So really, I think we're Scrum really. So it all starts with the consultants. Like I was talking with Scrum Org, Scrum Foundation, is that Agile was built on top of extreme programming. I probably should have covered that earlier. Extreme programming was a concept that came out along with the Agile Manifesto that actually introduced stand-up meetings. So stand-up meetings didn't come from Scrum. They came from Agile. They came from extreme programming, XP. Pair programming came from XP. This is where it's like, two brains are better than one. Sometimes when you're writing or debugging through code, sitting next to someone is very helpful. That created a problem though. There was this really good Atlassian video and I couldn't find it. And really, I don't like Atlassian now. It's a lot of bloat. But back in the day, there was a really good video they showed where it showed a bunch of engineers doing Agile, but it was more extreme programming. It was showing them doing mobbing, which is just like pair programming on crack. And it showed like a lot of devs working together, but when the manager walks in the room, what they see is one person doing work, one person sitting next to the person doing work, and not two people working to maximize output. I hate when managers think like that. I think that's a problem. Like, two heads are better than one. So extreme programming proposed pair programming, feature negotiation, so cage matches. These are great. A lot of times the customer wants a new feature, but how do you implement it? And there could be multiple architectural ways, and one is usually better than the other, but you really don't know till it gets done. So the whole cage match approach of like, hey, you come with your proposal, you red team it, hey, you B team it, and we'll see which one's better. That came from extreme programming. Iteration planning, release plans. So, hey guys, we need to release more often than not. Pipelines, automated scripts to do automated deployment came from extreme programming. And then feedback loops. It's like, hey, instead of getting one large feedback loop at the end of a contract of like a 2-year contract for company A to company B, instead it's like, hey, we're going to keep iteratively getting you product, and you're going to tell us whether it's good or not. So these iteration plans and continuous integration, continuous deployment came from extreme programming. The problem was what I was mentioning earlier is management would come in and they would see, people are sitting back because the pipeline's running. They're not doing any work. You've got these, 4 engineers sitting down trying to break their product. I could have 4 people pumping out code instead of 1. So managers had a lot of issue with extreme programming. It was to them when they would walk in the room, it's chaos. Extreme programming is chaos. So that's where the consultants stepped in, right? Agile didn't Agile at the time, extreme programming didn't get them predictability. Managers need predictability. They're going to get beat on by directors and VPs on when they can deliver a product. They can't forecast. They can't tell you when things are going to get done. They can't tell you when this outage is going to get fixed. They needed ways to provide sit reps, situation reports, status reports. But hey, if my guys are mobbing and they're pair programming, they're not providing me the reports I need. And I'm going to be honest, and I've said this probably in the previous video. You can see it up here, up above, to the right. If I don't put it there, someone put in the comments that I didn't put it there. Control. There are managers out there that they're managers because they want control, right? So I think that's where the consultants came in, because extreme programming didn't give managers what they needed, but consultants could spin Agile that, hey, devs, you don't have team leads anymore. You can self-govern. You have empowerment. hey, managers, you have these predictable ceremonies that you can kind of sit in on. So one consultant is SAFe, Scaled Agile Framework. I don't like these guys, man. I really don't. They have heavy implementation on Agile. So the problem is I talked about these 2 pizza teams, and I talked about how, it's focused on a team delivering a product to a customer. What happens when you have these very large platforms or systems that are like organization wide, think like Netflix? How do you scale that? And so that's where the consultants stepped in, and they're like, hey, we have this Agile framework that scales, guys. So now you're not talking to managers, you're talking to directors, you're talking to VPs, you're talking to CE fucking O's, bro. We can scale Agile so this giant battleship you call a company can scale, so it can be Agile, so it could shift, right? So it was a very top-down design because you're proposing to the people with money, you're proposing to the people with power. So it was a very top-down design that had governing bodies. So your middle management can now become part of a governing group, part of a systems team. Your very smart SMEs that know the product can be part of the systems team and architecture team. So it was very manager friendly. It was very executive friendly. It was very top level friendly. The adminisphere, and it introduced program increments. Now you're talking to the finance people. We have these things called program increments. They go on financial quarters. So you can get your work done on a financial quarter, and you could have your forecasting done for the next financial quarter. Oh, and by the way, when you do that, you got to pay us. Every time you do a program increment planning, you're going to invite us, and you're going to pay us. And you're going to get all your people there. You're going to wine and dine them and all that crap. But you must pay for the licenses for all this. You must pay for the training. Must pay for the tools. You got to pay for our coaches, and then our coaches will train your coaches, and your coaches now have this new career. So that, hey, you could be a coach. Join us, vouch for us, pay for our licenses, pay for our certifications. They're yearly, by the way, and implement. And then you're going to pay us while we sit back and do nothing. I freaking hate consultants, guys. And I've heard rumors. I couldn't confirm it, that every time you do PI planning, you got to write the Scaled Agile Framework a check. I don't know if that's true or not. So there's other consultants. There's less. I've never really worked with them. Actually, no. Let's go back to SAFe. I want to go back to SAFe. Fuck it. We're going. We're way off script. I'm 45 minutes in. We're way off script. So let's go back to SAFe. So I actually had this up. Let's zoom in. I had this up. This is, guys, 2021. This is SAFe. One, why would you name a Scaled Agile Framework SAFe? What's safe about this? Right? Like when I'm doing development, I want to feel safe. This was definitely for the CEOs, guys. I want to feel safe. I want to feel secure. How is this agility? Go away, dude. What the fuck is this? Fuck you, Jeff. Go away, Jeff. Jesus Christ. This is business agility. Guys, if your company just does all this, you'll be agile. You just need all these breakable components. Look, organizational agility, lean look, let's look at all these new roles they created. Epic owners. Yeah, dude, there's my new career, bro. That's my new career path. I'm an Epic owner. Enterprise architect. Actually, that's probably one that needs to exist. I'll be honest. You need someone that architects your full fucking ecosystem. I know it sounds crazy, but I think it needs to exist. But a solution architect or engineer, solution management. What do they manage? We manage solutions. A solution train engineer. That's what STE stands for. Solution train engineer. What the fuck is a solution train? To find out, you have to pay them. You have to pay them for a certification to find out what a solution train is. Business owners. And I've seen some people become business owners. Business owners. Do you want to be a business owner? Does it mean you own your own business? No. This is an employee in your company, and they own business decisions. They own business value. What does that even mean? That's crazy. A systems architect. A systems architect is below a solutions architect. They're systems architect. They only architect systems. These guys architect solutions. Get with the program. Product management. So there's product management and solution management. So I manage the product, I manage the solution. What? Release train engineers. Their whole job is they create these things called release trains. It's we release on this day no matter what. Who's jumping on the train, who's not, and then you deliver an incomplete product. Release train engineers, their whole job is to manage the release train, whatever the fuck that means. And then agile teams. Here's the product owner. Here's the scrum master. Where's the devs? Where's the dev? They're not even named. Bottom of the totem pole, baby. Bottom of the totem pole. Look, here's the devs right down here. The business is down here. Here's IT ops and support. Literally at the bottom. Even your safe program consultants over here are like, fuck you guys, I'm out of here, see ya. Look at this shit. This is crazy, guys. This is crazy. Look, there's your little program consultant that you have to pay. He's like, see ya, losers. I'm off in my Ferrari. See ya, you jerks. Like, this is crazy, guys. And your companies pay for this. Your companies fucking pay for this, dude. Here's the government. The government's up here. The government's way above your devs. It's crazy, man. Like, look at this. I did open this. I was going to talk about this later. Let's talk about it now. We're almost an hour in. These are the classes. You can take classes, but you won't do it. Your company's going to do it. But look at all these. Advanced Scrum Master certification, not the regular one. You got to be a platinum partner. A bunch of advanced Scrum Master certifications, a fuck ton. You want to be an agilityzer? You want to be an agilityzer? Look at that. That's crazy, dude. There's a safe product owner and product manager. So there's product owners, and then there's product managers that manage product owners. They own the product. Do they really own the product? No, your company does. But they make you believe you own a product. Oh, safe AI, guys. Safe AI, safe for teams. So your whole team has to get certified. How much does this cost? $560. Oh no, that's just for one person. $532. Like, how many of these are there? Guys, this is what your companies are paying for, bro, not your bonuses. Paying for this shit. Product owner, product manager, release train engineer, lean portfolio management. It's lean. This is lean, guys. This is lean, baby. Agile DevOps. You want to be DevOps and you want to be a safe DevOps person? Do you want to be a consultant and trainer, but not get hired by us? You want to pay us to learn how to do our job? So there's less large scale Scrum. Like their website is literally less.works. I've learned if there's any company that has .works in it, I just don't trust it, dude. 55 certification courses. Oh, look at this. So I took screenshots already. I prepared this a couple weeks ago, I think. But these are all the courses for AI native, the Safe Agile. So you have all of the, I didn't even count this. You could be a Six Sigma green belt, black belt, Dockers, not Docker, Dockers, like your pants, not Docker certification, Dockers. They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Jenkins certification, Kubernetes. Do I really want to go to a consultant to learn this shit? Scrum Master product, whatever Prince 2 is. AI for project managers. Yeah, I need an AI certification as a project manager. Like, this is crazy, guys. This is what Agile has become. Oh, yeah. I forgot this. So I took a screenshot. This on Star Agile. So these are all these certifications here. So when you go down software development, you as a software engineer, you're the bottom of the totem pole. You're under quality management and marketing. You were literally the last one, and it is not alphabetical. You were the last one. You got to click it, and you get a full stack software development certification training course by Star Agile. This is crazy, dude. This is research I did. There have been widespread layoffs in tech in the last 3 years. Honestly, it's been more than that. But the evidence is Amazon laid off 14,000 workers. Intel laid off around 15,000 employees. Tailwind laid off 75% of its employees. Capital One laid off in 2025 1,000 Agile team facilitators. If Agile is so great and it's so effective, how come it hasn't prevented the mass layoffs? If it's really that good. I still see Scrum Masters and Agile coaches blowing up my LinkedIn all the time. I know that's anecdotal, but and speaking of that, like, do you really feel, you as a customer, every one of you use digital products. You're using one now through YouTube. Do you really feel like the digital products you are using today are made with quality? Do you feel like your apps and software working are really that great? Are they awesome? Or is it just AI crammed into everything and the AI is not even helping you? Like, how many products do you use where you spin up, the web page or whatever, and then we already saw it in the fucking demo I was giving. There's like a little AI agent that wants to talk to you at the bottom, and it's probably dog shit. You could probably trip it up pretty easy. So please comment below. Like, actually comment below. Like, do you really feel like software is better now or was better before? And I'm talking about, serving you as a customer. And if all these organizations are using Agile, is it really working? Is it really focusing on the customer? And I'm not blaming devs here. I think a lot of executives are hiring consultants and they don't know what they're doing to their company. Scrum Alliance even put out an article that it advises Agile coaches on how to not get laid off. There was a BCG research that revealed that out of 127 companies that use Agile initiatives, only 66% claimed that, successful transformations, but 53% of the companies said they actually realized transformation targets they set for themselves and actually created lasting change in their culture. That's what they perceived. 47% claimed that agility was achieved, but they are not reaping the benefits. And I think those guys are based. Like, to actually say, hey, you know what? We claimed agility, but we feel like we're agile, but we're not seeing benefits. I think that's a more based approach. It's like, if you set targets and you're not achieving them, man, fucking say it. So guys, I get failure happens. I really don't like, I talk to a lot of people about Agile, and I talk to a lot of people about my criticisms of it, and I always hear, it's always from a fucking Scrum Master, well, you just didn't implement Agile right, you're not doing Agile right. It's like this communist like approach, or a communist excuse. It's like, well, you didn't implement communism right. You can't point to where it actually worked. You can't point to where Agile worked, right? Well, you didn't implement it right. Well, I mean, we're either Agile or we're not. Failure happens anyway. It happens anyway. Whether you implemented it or not, if you're taking more Agile methodologies, if you're taking more Agile approaches, is it working or is it not? So I think a lot of it has to do with consultation, screwing it up, and adding a lot of bloat, and kind of pulling people along with the carrot. Devs, hey, you get a new role, you don't have team leads. Managers, hey, you can control your people better. Executives and high-level people, hey, you get all these brand new roles and you get all this bloat. Pay me money. So let's think critically here. I know this has been like an unhinged rant that I tried to actually kind of organize, and I didn't really do that good of a job with it. But even though I'm poo-pooing on it, let's think a little critically. Let's think about, where Agile does help maybe, or let's think about some of the positives. I do think teams need a playbook. I do think they need a blueprint or a framework. But when scaling to the organizational level, remember that software is built by engineers, not frameworks. So how do we focus on the engineers, and how do we focus on the customer? And how do we build something that allows us to build a quality product? Teams need a leader that can share responsibility but hold accountability. So this, like, you're a product owner, but you're not a leader. You're a Scrum Master, you're not a leader. Hey guys, let's do Lord of the Flies shit and figure out who's going to be the leader, but you're not going to get extra pay and your manager's not going to deal with it. Guys, there needs to be a person that is the lead. There needs to be a technical or team lead. They need to hold accountability for their team and their product, but they need to share responsibility of their leadership. Hey, I'm going to delegate to you, dev number 4, to help me manage the backlog this week or this sprint. Hey, I'm going to need you, dev number 8, to go talk to the customer and bring us back requirements. We're busy. Do you think you can handle it? Right? There needs to be a single team lead that has accountability but can share their responsibility. I think there needs to be senior engineers that need to be on the team to help those technical lead positions. So these are senior engineers that can help mentor, and they're next in line for a technical leadership role. You need someone to mentor junior engineers, not some Scrum Master coach that doesn't know what it's like to be an engineer, or was an engineer and completely failed at it and is scared to code. You need leaders who have been in those shoes to lead those young engineers to become better engineers. I think process should reduce cognitive overload, not add to it. So that whole safe, conglomerate picture, that is cognitive overload, guys. Processes need to be lightweight. They need to be reproducible. They should not be complicated. You are over engineering the process of delivering product. One of my colleagues I've worked with I love what he says is if delivering product is hard, you're never going to deliver, period. Predictability comes from stable teams, not ceremonies. So, I see a lot of organizations, when they do Agile, they're just constantly reorging. Guys, if you just get a team and you let them stay together, there will always be people leaving the teams. But if you can get teams and kind of keep them together, you will get product producing better, no matter what kind of agility framework you use. Focus on stable teams. Don't focus on ceremonies. If they need ceremonies, let them make them. I think leadership must be technical. It's what I was talking about. If you don't understand what your team does, if you haven't been in your team's shoes, you're probably not going to be a well-respected leader that can get shit done. Maybe you can be, but I really think it's easier to lead teams when you can empathize with the team and understand where they've been. you have that pathos of being in their shoes. I think accountability requires named ownership. So that's kind of why I do like the idea of a product owner, but that should just be the tech lead. The tech lead or the team lead should be that named owner of the product. And I don't really like the owner thing, but you are accountable for that product. I'm paying you a good salary. I'm giving you decision-making authority. I'm giving you empowerment. You go do what you need to do. But at the end of the day, I am holding you accountable if this product doesn't work. Your full name, you're the one that handles that. I do like the idea of a Scrum board. Scrum boards are great. And I like roadmaps too. Roadmaps are a must. You should plan your releases. I think these are great things that came out of Agile, is the Scrum board. I think sprints are good. Like, hey, we have these cadences we can work on. And then, roadmaps that, a lot of Scrum doesn't talk about, but have roadmaps, have epic plans of what's going down 3 years from now, and those plans can change. One thing I think that Agile needs to promote and adopt, and Agile teams need to adopt, is budgets need to be Agile focused. So if I hire a team and I can have this team funded for say 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, indefinitely, for about $3 million a year. I have a team and I spend $3 million a year to keep this team. Maybe it grows a little bit, 3.2 million, 3.4 million. And I know that the work that team does pulls me 8 million. That's a profit, right? So instead of like, oh, well, you need to go get, we need to raise more money to get this team, or, hey, the product needs to pay for its team, so we're not going to grow. Guys, like, I really think budget needs to be focused on, we set aside this money for this team to exist. This team needs to bring a certain amount of budget or they won't exist. I think there needs to be fewer roles, more responsibility. Guys, I'll give you the cheat code. I think you have a small team, let's say 7 to 10 people. You have one tech lead and everyone else is a developer. Period. You don't need Scrum Master. You don't need product owner. You don't need product manager, epic owner, solutions architect, solutions train engineer bullshit. You don't need consultants, just tech lead and devs. And the roles can be figured out by the tech lead working in two-way communication with the devs. Engineers can talk directly to the customer. You don't necessarily need a product owner. Fewer ceremonies, more delivery. I think I kind of covered that. Trust over velocity. It's like, hey guys, are you going to get this done? And if you don't get this done, what's the plan? Are you guys going to work the weekend? Like it happens. It's like you still have responsibilities. You still have real world deadlines. And I think teams can respect that. And it's like, hey, let's just cut out these ceremonies. Let's get our shit done. Don't chain my foot down. Let me do my thing. And we're going to deliver. Right? And it's not going to be perfect. We're going to deliver. There's going to be problems and we iterate. Outcomes over rituals. So I think just delivering the customer, focus on outcomes and protect the team. Not like, oh, hey, we did awesome because we completed this many story points this financial quarter. If your process needs constant coaching to function, it's not empowering, it's fragile. That's a little quote that I don't know where it fucking came from, but I liked it. Guys, oh shit, man. We are an hour and 5 minutes in. Editor, we'll figure this one out. Sorry for the long rant. This wasn't really organized. I put some notes down and I talked a paragraph per bullet point, I think. But yeah, I just felt like I had to get a lot of this out. For those of you who stuck around, comment, dude. Tell me what you think of this unhinged rant. Do you agree with it? I know I left a lot of stuff out. I honestly could go for another 7 hours. We really could. Tell me what you guys want to talk about more. Do you guys want to talk about this some more? You comment below. Do you guys like Agile? Like, was I completely off? Or what points was I completely off on? Or do you completely agree and you want to join the cult? Do you completely agree and you're sick of this shit? And I think a lot of people that make these decisions, I think they come from a good place. I think they just don't know. I think they just don't know that Agile has become this corporate takeover. A consultant takeover. Anyway, but yeah, this was more of a rant than a prepared thesis. I know the evidence is lacking. It's anecdotal. I know I'm kind of off my rocker. Comment, subscribe, tell me what you guys think. Guys, I stream every Friday at this point. It's almost like 10 Eastern. So definitely check me out. I'll be on Twitch at twitch.tv/frostysauruswrecks with a W. And then you can catch me on TikTok. All my socials are in the description below. Let me know if we need a part 2. If you want me to never rant like this again. I just need feedback, guys. But I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around. I love you all. Thank you.